I got another email which said, I can't seem to get my tactic to work. And this was quite interesting when I opened up the save, as there were quite a few issues, one of which was tactical, but there were also a number of other issues that needed to be addressed, one of them being expectations on the team. And so we set about to try and improve the fortunes of his club, and this is what we did. Let's go and kick some balls. Hello and welcome back to FM with Old Man Phil, and if you are a brand new visitor, I'm Phil, and welcome to the channel. And yes, I got another email from Spencer, who was really concerned about the way his team were performing, and really he couldn't see how he was going to improve the fortunes of the club, and a lot of it was to do with finances, and he wasn't getting the budget to bring in good players. And he also knew that if he could get that elusive European place, that finances would start to come. But he couldn't seem to achieve it. And so, as he said in his very long email, he said, and I'll pick some things out, over the past 3 seasons, I have experimented with various tactics and player formations in an effort to optimize our gameplay. Initially, I implemented 3-4-2-1 formation, focusing on a tiki-taka style. This approach relies heavily on ball control and short, quick passes, necessitating skilled players in the attacking midfield positions to effectively break down defences. Hence, I strategically signed Diego Almada and Gabriel Sara, aiming to bolster our squad with proficient AMs who could excel in these roles. Despite the tactical setup and these key signings aiming to enhance our midfield dynamics, the expected results were not realised. And in Season 2, we found ourselves struggling near the relegation zone. He goes on to say that he's tried several formations, he's tried different roles, both in midfield and up top, but nothing significantly improved the performance and made us more competitive in subsequent matches. Despite these tactical changes, a critical issue remains. Our strikers are underperforming, rarely involved in goal-scoring opportunities. And so we set about trying to find out what the problems were and to see if we could improve their fortunes. After quickly running through the squad, I could see that there were a number of issues. And one of the big issues were he had loaned out a lot of players, but he had no loans coming in. And so that's where he really should be starting to focus on. Nottingham Forest, at this stage in their development, were not going to be getting a great deal of money to buy players. So he would have to loan in players to bolster the squad. And there's some very, very good loanees that you can bring in, even as a Premier League club. You can get loans in to bolster the squad. And so that's the first thing that he had done. He'd made some good signings, but these players, when I looked through the squad, they were good players, but they weren't great players. And they certainly weren't players who I would think could get near to a European spot. And so that was the first thing that came to mind, is get some loans in, get your players help so that you can rotate the squad nicely and that you will bring in good players who want to play, who want to develop for their parent club, and they will perform very well for you. But that aside, we have what we have. And when I looked at the tactic, it was indeed very interesting. And at first glance, it reminded me of how Manchester United try to play, with everybody running with the ball at the defence. Let's get it forward as fast as we possibly can. Everybody then runs at the defence and tries to score themselves. And there is a lack of a creative element in here. There's no real creativity going on in terms of the front four. And so the first thing to do was to look at how he was actually playing. And I could see a number of issues in this tactic. And if we'd start with the front four, we can see that he's got a winger on attack. He's dribbling more. He's got an inside forward on attack who's dribbling more. Both of those are going to be looking to score goals. He's got a shadow striker at attacking mid. He's going to be dribbling more as well. Everybody is running at the defence. And to be frank, they don't quite have the ability to be causing that kind of chaos. And then he had a deep lying forward on attack. Now I can see what he's trying to do, trying to get the deep lying forward to come deep so that these 3 other players are running past him. But was this player good enough to be a deep lying forward? Well, he was a good player, but as a deep lying forward, he's going to have to make good decisions, and he's only got decisions of 12, and so I'm not quite sure he's really cut out to play in that role. He's going to have to decide, do I look for someone or do I take on opportunities myself? myself. With his decisions, he's not going to get that decision right every single time. He needs to be better in terms of his mentals in order for him to perform that role. So although he's a good player and he has another striker also who is very similar, this is probably not the right role to have up there. He's got a little bit of an imbalance vertically in that he's got 4 attacking roles here, and defensively he's kind of isolated himself. There's no support coming from behind for these 4 players, and these 4 players are just running at the defence and trying to score themselves. So it reminded me a little bit about how Manchester United play, which isn't very effective for Manchester United and won't be effective for Nottingham Forest. Another issue that he has is the mentality and the expectations of this team. And as I would look at them and think this is a mid-table team at best at this point in time, the expectations that he has during the game is that they are going to attack and they are going to cause chaos to the defenders at the back. They're not good enough, unfortunately, at this stage in their development to be able to do that. And so the positive mentality may not be the right thing for this, and there probably are too many attacking roles up front. Not enough is going on at the back, and he's also got ball-playing defender who's going to dribble it out. He's got 2 of those dribbling it out. He does have McTominay playing as a ball-winning midfielder, but I think that given his mentals and his technical ability, we could find a better role for him, and the DLP, we could also change his role. He's also told to dribble more, so he's got all his team running at the defence. The fullbacks didn't make much sense to me either, and although the back 4 looks solid, I do feel that there would probably, with these players more advanced up the pitch, they would probably be outnumbered in midfield. And so in terms of possession, he was playing fairly wide, which would create a lot more space as well for the opposition, passing into space with a shorter and higher tempo. This was really high tempo stuff that he was trying to play, and whether the players had that kind of ability, I very much doubt it. He was going to play for set pieces, which would slow things down, which didn't match the tempo, and then he wanted them to be more expressive. In terms of creativity, I really didn't feel that this squad had that capability to be more expressive. In transition, he was counter-pressing, counter-attacking, distributing quickly, and this was increasing the intensity. The tempo of the way he wanted to play was way too high, I felt, and there probably was a better way for this team to play. He said in his email that he wanted to play this way, this high tempo with good players who had great ball control. I don't think he has those players at the moment, and so perhaps he needs to just temper it down a little bit. And then he's playing, of course, very aggressively with a much higher defensive line and a high press, trigger pressing much more often. But he has the team staying on their feet, which kind of counteracts what he's trying to do, because if he is trying to be this intense, then they don't need to get stuck in, but they do need to be winning the ball high up the pitch. And so I felt that the main issue in his tactic was that he just needed to temper things down a little bit. He's probably going to need to grind out results, get a few loans in the winter, grind out some results, and we probably could get that European place based on the players that he had brought in. And with good use of Scott McTominay, then I think he could even be a little more successful and get that European place that he wants. What I did notice about his squad was that he had 2 very good attacking midfielders. And I just felt that we should change that role in order to get some creativity going on up top here. He also has an extremely good right wing back, and this wing back is not being used to his full potential. So I decided that we really needed to maximize these positions, both in the attacking mid and at right wing back, and also then free up Scott McTominay to be a little bit more dangerous around the edge of the box. And so this is the tactic that I then came up with. And what I had tried to achieve here was to maximize where his strengths were and to play to those strengths, and to hope then that this would provide the team with a better balance, both vertically and in terms of horizontally. And so we played with a sweeper keeper on defend. We kept that position exactly the same, but we changed Nico Williams' role to a wing-back on attack. He is a very good player as a wing-back on attack, and so we wanted him to be free to explore these areas, get crosses in, even cause mischief himself around the edge of the penalty area. I've changed the ball-playing defenders to central defenders. I didn't think that they were good enough, to be frank, to play as ball-playing defenders. Their passing, although decent, isn't brilliant. Their dribbling skills were not very good either. Although they are decent players, he could do better, and I'd probably look to bring in a loan during the winter in one of these positions. And then at left back, we got a wing back again on support. I don't think I made any changes there. And in midfield, I did make some changes. We kept the ball winning midfielder. We wanted to win the ball in midfield, but I changed McTominay's role to a volante on attack. And this means he's going to be up here in the box and just outside the box, looking to get players in, looking to score for himself, kind of like the way he likes to play for Manchester United, and to maximise his ability to do that and to get him into forward positions so that he can score goals. Up top, we made a lot of changes. As you remember, he had 4 attacking roles up here. I wanted to take that away, complement the wing backs on either side. So we had an inverted winger on attack on the left so that he would look to supply people and create opportunities for himself. And then we had an inverted winger on support on the right-hand side so that he could support Nico Williams as he's bombing up and down the touchline here. I changed this role to an advanced playmaker on support, and his job really is to wander around these areas and look to feed in other players who are going beyond him, whether that be Almeida or McTominay or Esposito or Salamanders. So we have some creativity now in this attacking midfield role. And then turning to the role for the player up top, I decided to play them as a poacher. They're not great strikers, but they're decent for Premier League, and they would score goals if they were allowed to get into positions where they could score. They both had good composure. Their finishing was a little bit off, but they both were capable of scoring goals. And so I just decided, let's play him as a poacher, get him on the shoulder of the last defender, get him in the box, get him in the 6-yard box where he can tap in goals. We need someone in there who's able to get on the end of the ball, is going to be close to goal and can bang the goals in from a short distance. And so having decided on a shape and the player roles, I decided now that we had to take a much more balanced way of playing, that we had to defend well as create chances. And so balanced seemed to be the right way to play this system. In possession, I decided to tone everything down a bit. And in fact, we probably would take that pass into space off. And we were just going to play a shorter passing game, a slightly lower tempo, and time waste sometimes. And that would allow us to try and keep the ball as much as possible. We weren't going to be great in terms of possession statistics, but the more we could keep the ball from the opposition, I just felt the better chance we would have of getting results. Then I would work the ball into the box because that's where I want my poacher to be. Dribble less because I did not want everybody dribbling and running at the defence, causing chaos. We were slowing everything down now. And in transition, I was coming off the counter press. This will lower the intensity again of how we're playing, because I just felt that defensively they would be able to play the ball around our press quite easily. We were going to counter-attack, but not too quickly, and get the goalkeeper to roll it out. And in terms of out of possession, we're going to play with a high press and with a much higher defensive line. I felt there was enough pace at the back, but this again you can always tweak and move in game if there are spaces behind the players opening up. So we'd keep it the same as he had it before. Trigger press much more often. There's no reason why they can't trigger press people and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. I wanted them to step up more, to decrease the space available to the opposition in midfield, and then stop the crosses. They're not the tallest and best defenders in the air, so do your best, boys, to stop the crosses. And so then we went off and we played the games, and I actually did play all the fixtures from the time that he sent me the save. There was a period of getting used to the tactic and we didn't play very well, but we did get a 0-0 draw away at Manchester United and we got a 1-1 draw at home to Tottenham. Those were two very, very good results. I was not expecting anything out of those two big fixtures, but we did very, very well. We also then lost in the EFL Cup 4th round. We lost to Chelsea, but only on penalties. So we had not lost a game in 90 minutes up to this point. We were unlucky on the penalties. It's just a lottery. And then we had another draw. We drew away at Aston Villa. But when you think about those fixtures, Manchester United, Tottenham and Chelsea and Aston Villa, you would not be expecting much out of those fixtures. So getting 3 points out of 9, I was quite happy with at that stage. But then the tactic really took off, and we played at home to Everton and we beat them by 1-0. We beat Brentford away by 2-0, and then we beat Wolves at home by 3-1. And then I followed that up with another game just to make sure that everything was on course, and we beat Bournemouth away by 2-0. And so things were looking a lot better. We were actually at this point in 4th in the table. We played 14 games now with 25 points. And although we're not going to stay there all season, I had a funny feeling that this might be an opportunity to get into that top 7 and get a Europa League spot or a Conference League spot and begin the journey in Europe. When you get to Europe, you're going to get much more of a budget. Then you're going to need to bring in some loans, get some really good players down the spine, especially a good forward, a really good midfielder to assist McTominay, and probably a really good central defender. And I think that's then job done. I was quite impressed with how they played using the new system, and getting to 4th in the table is very, very good progress. And so that's it for this video. If you are brand new to the channel and you like FM content, and if you particularly like to see people suffer playing the game, then I can tell you you're definitely in the right place. So why not hit that subscribe button, click the bell, and you'll be updated when we upload future videos. And if you are struggling in your save, you think your tactic's not working, but you can't figure out why, then just send me an email. There is an email address on my channel page, which you can find quite easily. Send me an email there explaining what you think the problems are, and we'll have a look at it and we'll try to sort it out. I can't guarantee we're always going to do that, but we've got a 2 out of 2 record so far. And that's it for this video. All that remains to be said now is stay safe, take care, and we will see you in the next one.